I know it's too early to be declaring my favorite game of the year, but I played a ton of games so far, I've recorded tons of footage that all need to go, so here are my top 10 favorite games that I played this year, loosely ordered aside from the top 2.
You got a visitor. Just come out and fucking smack him in the face.
I first want to talk about the games that I didn't like much but I felt were worth mentioning. I typically have tons and tons of fun and respect for indie darlings like Shovel Knight, Undertale, and anything that isn't a farming game from the Wholesome Directs, and I love Metroidvanias. The indie scene is full of them, and I obviously like the big examples that are Symphony of the Night and Super Metroid, with the lesser known ones like Touhou Luna Nights and Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I love exploring the environments these game developers make and find power-ups along the way, whether it be movement-based or combat-based, and allow me to look at the same world in a different light, even if I've already visited it before. Some Metroidvanias are slow and methodical, with tons of nice set pieces to see. The Ignovanias, for example. In some of them you're meant to run through, never stopping for anything, and enjoy the flexible level design to allow you to go as fast as you can. So traditional Metroidvanias like Metroid Dread or even Touhou Luna Nights. And for this reason I don't really like Hollow Knight. Oh, I just got 300 subscribers. From what I've seen at least, the game is mostly known for its difficulty and great boss design, which is fair enough. The bosses are cool. The thing is, for a Metroidvania, Hollow Knight is too big and too open for its own good. Not you too. Yes, you're supposed to explore in a Metroidvania. Yes, you're supposed to quote-unquote get lost in these worlds that these game developers make. But the thing is, there's not much reward in Hollow Knight that really encourages exploration. There's only a handful of power-ups that you're actually required to use to beat the game. And the majority of time, when you find a secret or some sort of hidden passage, a lot of the times it's literally useless or it's just money. And then you have to walk to the shops to actually use the money. Or even worse, it's an item you're supposed to sell to someone specific, and then you have to sell it to them and then walk to the shop, which can get annoying because again, the map is really big. Admittedly, these are minor complaints, and someone who really wants to be immersed into the game is going to really enjoy that, and is a massive plus to those people who are more open to be immersed and just soak in the atmosphere, soak in the art, soak in the music of the world of Hollow Knight. But for me, I typically associate Metroidvanias with a lot of action that doesn't overstay its welcome. This might be a hot take, but I feel like Hollow Knight's more of a Souls-like than it is a Metroidvania. Of course it has Metroidvania elements in it, and of course the map is inspired by Metroidvanias, but combat is probably the most important skill to have in a Hollow Knight, with the Souls-like signature environmental storytelling, even with the Bloodborne-inspired healing. I don't want to do this, but I do have to say, I find it odd that people compare games like Team Fortress 2 and Overwatch, and in the same vein, people were comparing Metroid Dread to Hollow Knight when Metroid Dread came out. I think comparing the two games here is like comparing apples and oranges. And you can still have your comparisons between two games and such, no matter how similar or how different. Whenever Hollow Knight or Metroid Dread are in the conversation, the other one has to come up for whatever reason, and I just find it really odd that we had to go there. What I'm trying to say is that there are games with aspects that you're just not going to like, and there are games with aspects that you're going to like. Just because they're in the same genre of game doesn't mean you're gonna like it, unfortunately. Hollow Knight didn't scratch the right itches for Metroidvanias for me, and it's sadly my biggest disappointment of this year. Whenever I see structures that have like this sort of like top to them, with like this, I just expect wasps.
Oh yeah, totally. It's just Wasp Central.
I just expect wasps.
Man.
My favorite platform fighters are Rivals of Aether and Smash Ultimate. I'm the type to waveland on platforms, edge cancel, empty hop, and use drag down aerials. I value the spacing those games allow with short hop aerials, and I like making reads with smashes or strong attacks when they matter most, exploiting my opponent's habits. A simple strategy is weaving in and out of your opponent's effective range and hitting them when the move is over. And you aiming to hit someone during these commitments, whether it's out of a roll, air dodge, or initial dash, is very rewarding. Not that Multiverses doesn't have these concepts, they're just heavily devalued. I was actually in the Multiverses closed alpha, and I was hoping at the time that it was very early in development, we couldn't share footage. The fact that we couldn't share footage of the game made me think that the game wasn't finalized in the closed alpha, and that there could be changes to be made. But I realized that the changes that I want made the games more like Smash Brothers, which is the direction that Multiverses isn't taking, for better or for worse. Better late than never, I guess. Some of my gripes with Multiverses is that aerials cannot be cancelled upon landing, so the aerials continue to go as soon as you land. Reversals happen too much when you're edge guarding people. Someone on the wall gets their jumps, their up specials, and their air dodges back, which I find very stupid. Everyone seemingly has the same 3-hit jab, down air, up air combo, which feels a bit homogenistic to me. It's just a little disappointing that when I play a new character in Multiversus, I should just be relying on mostly their special moves and their down air, because all their down airs are very good and comboable.
Oh man, oh that would have been nasty.
This is nasty though. And air dashing is a prevalent movement option that gives you tons of mobility while still remaining invulnerable. So at any given moment when you're playing Multiversus, the person that you're interacting with may or may not be hittable. I'm sure I'm half right about some stuff, and I'm sure I'm nitpicking, but my idea stands that Multiversus has a very different skill set and values those different skills differently, and rewards players in its engine differently than other platform fighter games. Basically what I'm saying is that the game is too different for me to like, I guess. And that's okay, because there's going to be plenty of people who are going to like this different variation on platform fighters. I had a lot of time to really sit about my opinion on this since I was in the closed alpha. Where does the dirt go?
Oh my god, I never thought about that.
Even though this is about the games that I like this year and my favorite game of this year, I wanted to talk about the games I didn't like so that way you get to understand me a little more of what I like and what I don't like. Let's talk about the games that I actually liked this year, starting with number 10.
He had been at his desk for nearly an hour. Something was very clearly wrong. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. No one wanted to be Stanley's significant other. Stanley was maidenless. Or in other words, he had no bitches.
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, or something. It might help to first mention that I didn't play the original Stanley Parable when it first came out, so I came into this game literally knowing nothing. I didn't even know the premise of the game when I opened it up, and I don't think I was prepared for it even if I did know. What's great about Stanley Parables is its approach on humor, commentary on player decision, and very simple yet really entertaining interactivity. And at the heart of it is the narrator and his masterclass performances delivering his lines.
What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh god no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam. The online...
What really made this game an instant classic for me, however, is its consistency to just surprise you. Every corner of the game, I was just wondering, what am I going to do next? What is the narrator going to say? And that feeling really carried me throughout the entire game. Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe is a wonderful piece of art disguised as a video game.
Cut the music. Go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Okay, well, since this is going to be important for later, I guess I'll have to talk about the next game here, kind of. So, yeah, that was number 10, and now we're going to move on to number 9. My 9th favorite game of this year. That's, sorry, there's a fern in front of me. Spark the Jester 3. Spark the Jester 3 is a wonderful game that gives players the freedom to move at high speeds with many branching paths to take in short and highly replayable levels. I reviewed Spark the Jester 2 last year, and since 3 is more or less the same thing but better, so instead of repeating myself, I'm going to talk about the one concept that I feel like is at the heart of why I love this game and its formula so much. The concept of earning your speed. In other similar games, speed can be achieved with the press of a button. In this game, you have to take advantage of the level design to pick up speed or pay at the cost of waiting a moment to get speed. If you're finding yourself going slow in Spark the Jester 3, then it's because you haven't earned your speed. You hadn't taken advantage of your moveset or the level design around you. If you find yourself blasting through these levels, then you've managed your speed and momentum properly, and you're rewarded with the runner's high that is all of Spark the Jester 3. Please give this game a shot if it looks interesting to you. Oh shit.
Hello?
Oh damn!
Frog and one!
What?
Frog and one! I'm a basket with a tablet inside.
We're called Neons, sinners plucked from hell to do God's dirty work. But I'm finding it hard to believe we're in heaven.
Neon White, a journey to find oneself in heaven. You play as a sinner, who needs to slay demons to find answers to the questions that you need answered. One of the rare first-person platformer games that actually held my attention throughout the whole way. Jump, run, and gun through each level, with the ability to discard your guns to use as movement abilities. Most of these levels are timed, so that you have to beat every enemy and then get to the goal as fast as possible. And typically I don't really care for these types of games. However, the unique take on the first-person platforming genre, mixing the gunplay and movement together, them being integral to one another, it gives Neon White this unique feel that you can't really get anywhere else. Neon White surprisingly doubles as a fun and entertaining visual novel, with some in good taste cliché character tropes that make for a nice break in the action.
Holy crap, you got the freaking anime sword? I thought for sure you'd get one of those little guns like the, what's it called, like gnomes use?
This makes Neon White the second game I've enjoyed this year that I've enjoyed speeding through, and on top of that, it probably has one of my favorite soundtracks of all time, with Machine Girl taking the reins for the whole entire soundtrack. Neon White was a blast to run through, and it with along with Spark the Jester 3 really scratched my runner's high itch.
Yeah, the bomb. Oh fuck!
No, I think we're gonna go. No! 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 Yes! Aragami 2. It's pretty rare that I see a game that is both fun single player and a fun online co-op game. Usually those types of games I find fall flat in one department, whether it be designing levels for a multiplayer and then it lacks in the single player department, or the other way around. And I also typically don't like stealth games. Although it doesn't change my opinion on the game, this game also does have a tendency to have some jank.
Where am I going? Where am I going?
What the heck? So, okay,
I guess I'm still going.
you went through the world barrier, bro. I'd also be really hilarious, but like, also down. Wait, who's allowed to discover people?
Things like that aren't going to bother me, because it doesn't take away from the immersive level design and environments. Aragami 2 is surprisingly free in how you approach each mission objective, and despite the mission objectives being more or less the same throughout the game, whether it be kidnapping someone, assassinating someone, or stealing something undetected, the level design and enemy placements of each level made it so that you can never approach the missions the same each time. Aragami 2 is the game I'm probably most surprised that I liked.
Ooh, we're all different colors.
Sonic Tails Knuckles.
Oh my god. Fuck. God damn it.
You had to ruin it, didn't you?
Maybe this game do suck. Uh-oh. What? The worst part is I landed on something, so I can't even respawn back up. Record of Lawless War, Didleath and Wonder Labyrinth. When I heard this game was inspired by Symphony of the Night, and the developers behind it were also the ones that made Touhou Luna Nights, I knew I had to play it. Record of Lawless War was originally a franchise long thought dead before this game came to be, and you can tell the developers of the game took a lot of time and care to make the world of this game come alive. Admittedly, I'm not familiar with this series. That's not to say that you can't enjoy the game without knowing the reference material, as it stands up as its own fun Ignovania, with your fair share of mythical creatures to fight, hidden items and areas to explore for better weapons, and wonderful pixel art that kept me enthralled the whole way through. Even the main character has an after image. I recommend this to everyone who's a fan of the Ignovania genre, as it's an underrated and underappreciated title. It's very good. Oh, I was expecting like a shine spread. I didn't expect it was going to be the dude's bulge.
Are they gonna kiss?
Wait.
This is awesome.
Okay, this game's actually fucking amazing. Pocky and Rocky Reshrine. I have a soft spot for Pocky and Rocky. Probably a decade ago, I was originally grabbed by the series by its cutesy pixel art style and easy to understand gameplay. And when I actually got to play it, what I got was probably my favorite arcade style shoot 'em ups of all time. Pocky and Rocky Reshrine is a remaster of the original Super Nintendo game with improved graphics, gameplay, all by the original developers of the original games. I really have to put attention to the amazing pixel art. It's very interesting and very rare. Pixel artists from back in the Super Nintendo days have actually came back and honed their craft to show us what pixel art can really become. Aside from that, the gameplay is actually more improved than the originals, adding new moves and character-exclusive special moves, which seek to diversify each playthrough you do. The game isn't long at all, and I've had a ton of fun returning to the game every now and then, experiencing each level all over again. Pick up this game if you want a fun, difficult, highly replayable, cute journey.
What?
Oh, yeah.
He actually just fucking died? Holy shit.
Holy shit, yes, C-Stick!
What the heck?
Unbelievable! You're gonna let him die?
I'm flicking my stick.
Oh my god, he's gonna bounce in the
Bruh.
water. Oh my gosh.
What the
Wait, that
fuck?
was kind of a good play.
No. Because now. Hello? What?
Damn, you got more points than I do.
Oh shit.
What's happening?
Oh shit.
What's
That's fine
happening?
too. Yo, what's up? Hey, yo, that was
Goddamn.
pretty good. Got 200
That
points.
was the dumbest fucking.
Katamari Damacy Reroll. Katamari Damacy was always a game I wanted to play. I never had a PlayStation 2 growing up, and the games eventually escaped my mind for the years to come. Once they were remastered on Switch, I just knew I had to play it, and I was not disappointed at all. I love the wacky humor and atmosphere this game just oozes out every second. Everything comes at you so suddenly. Once you're laughing at one thing, the next thing comes and gathers all your expectations and exceeds them. I had a blast playing through Katamari Damacy, and it's such a special game. The gameplay loop is simple yet entertaining, the music is fun and bouncy, and full of personality. And the personality of Katamari Damacy itself just isn't matched by anything out there. Rolling the Katamari around is just the right amount of hard and fun, where making it bigger is rewarding. And as it grows, it's just really exciting to see what we could roll up. And that thrill of finding out what's next, and wanting to find out what's next, that really motivated me. And that motivation is at the heart of Katamari Damacy and what makes it really enjoyable. That build-up of building a Katamari, and the payoff is seeing the developers' crazy and wacky ideas coming to life right in front of you. Truly a game that is a star among the cosmos, of classics that I'll cherish my time with, and I'll eventually return to it and experience that magic all over again. You can really tell that the developers of the game really had a passion to make their vision of Katamari Damacy come true. I'm really glad I got to play Katamari Damacy.
He could just rest his balls on like a country.
Look, I won't fuck up the sign.
I'll give it to me. Amori, an instant classic that took 6.5 years to make, with a unique art style that lulls you into the passionate world that indie studio Omocat lovingly made. Amori and other games like it pride themselves on funny dialogue and a plot that keeps the player guessing, while simple in concept, make up for some of my favorite games of all time. While on the surface it seems like your normal turn-based RPG, it does have some unique aspects to it. One easy thing to point to is the art style. While the art style is limited by the game's engine, Omocat's use of color in Amori creates some of the most vibrant and unique level designs despite the simple level grid structure of the entire game, something only very creative and imaginative people can create. Another thing to point to is the battle system. Although it's like your other turn-based RPGs, the battle system has an emphasis on status conditions that affect your character and your enemy's emotions that can quickly change the tide of battle. While that shouldn't be exciting to you if you're a JRPG or an RPG fan, I believe there's no need to reinvent the wheel if it works, and if it's a good system. And it is a good system that is used throughout the story, something other games can learn with their mechanics that are only used sparsely. The life of the characters, the surreal imagery, and the funny dialogue kept me enthralled and engaged throughout the entire plot. And if you're a fan of games like Undertale, Deltarune, Earthbound, or Yume Nikki, do give Amori a shot.
What have you done to me? I took away your
Watch out, I might be
painting.
right behind you.
Oh God!
I'm a
I thought you were
ghost.
dead!
No, I'm just a ghost. That's different. Famicom Detective Club, Girl Who Stands Behind, and The Missing Heir. The story of Famicom Detective Club is a rich part of Nintendo's history. Originally a duology developed by Nintendo for the Family Computer Disk System, or the Famicom, in 1988. And Nintendo would eventually come back to the series on the Super Famicom with the remake of The Girl Who Stands Behind. Despite the effort to make these games in the first place, the series would stay obscure in the West, Nintendo never localizing it and keeping it Japan only. Not until in 2021 where they would receive remakes for the Switch. These two games are packaged as one and are wonderfully crafted visual novels that prove that Nintendo has the right teams and the right vision to go into any genre of game and to make classics. I've always had a soft spot for mystery detective visual novels, especially ones that take place in the 80s. While being a visual novel, Nintendo did not skimp out on the presentation. This game has tons of eye-catching moments and wonderfully animated characters and environments. One of my favorite things you can do in these games is that you can toggle the old music of each song at any time you like, so you can get the remastered music or the old retro ones. I'm obviously not going to talk about the plot much at all. Without spoiling it still, I do have to say, the Famicom Detective Club has probably my favorite payoffs of any game I've ever played. If you want an interesting mystery and surprising tale, please give these games a shot whenever you can. Ace Attorney fans, I'm looking at you.
She be eating.
Oh, sorry, I was still looking at the fern. I guess I should talk about the game of the year, that my favorite game of this year that I played. Not like games not like released this year necessarily, but like the games that I played this year. So I should take this seriously. I should actually like, you know, sit up. It wouldn't be a generic YouTuber top 10 without some honorable mentions now, would it? The only real reason Splatoon 3 isn't on the list proper is because as much as I love it, I want to judge it as time passes on. Anybody who's played Splatoon 1 and 2 will understand that judging Splatoon 3 now's quality wouldn't be wise, as there will be more and more content in the future that will skew your opinion either positively or negatively. If it's anything like the previous games, we'll be getting new weapons, new kits, more DLC, more things to do with friends, and special events like Splatfest and Big Run in the future. All things I look forward to and aren't in the game right now. As for the quality shown right now, for a game I expect to play for the next 5 or so years from now, 5 years worth of free updates, support, and one of the strongest sense of communities in gaming, Splatoon 3 is easily a steal at $60. The way I see it, this is a bit of a Smash 4 to Smash Ultimate level of quality of life improvements, but I understand where people are coming from outside of the Splatoon community thinking otherwise. Some objective things I can talk about is that the single player taking cues from Octo expansion is a really great decision, with some of the most fun level designs in the series, and the rock solid polish and soul packed in the game, and crazy amount of lore proves that Nintendo's most colorful IP is Splatoon. Nintendo really hit it out the park with Splatoon 3, and I can't wait for it to improve more and more over time.
Do you feel sad or anything?
My external appearance is down 5%. Xion, I need to be clean.
Xenosaga Episode 1. It should be noted that I only played Episode 1 so far. I've yet to play Episode 2 and 3, but Episode 1 was good. Probably the hardest JRPG I've ever played, and while I had a lot of frustrations, they were the good type of frustrations. Stop. What do you mean, status stop? What do you mean, stop? It's been a while since I got my ass kicked in any JRPG for that matter, so playing this was a real treat. Typically I'm not into the sci-fi stuff, since sometimes it just seems like they'll create problems when they don't need to. Oh, my overdrive protocol is malfunctioning, I can't go to Arby's anymore. But the story was interesting enough, and I liked it. It's on the honorable mentions list because I have not done the whole experience of Xenosaga yet, so I'll hold off my judgment until then. But for now, I liked Episode 1.
Their stench.
What?
It reeks.
This ship's been gutted down to the core. Looks like a carcass of a beached whale. It's like diving into shark-infested waters with a big juicy steak.
It's like not wearing green on St. Patrick's Day. Frog detective! Huh?
Oh. This is awesome.
Anyway, she settled into a new house and doesn't go outside to greet anyone. The residents of the town feel like they need to welcome her properly, so they organize a welcome parade. Good, that's gonna scare the shit out of here. Take this hook. Wow, what do you do with this? You can use it on your hand if you want. You can use it for something else. I'm not your dad. Not yet. I'm sure a lot of people I know are watching, not surprised whatsoever. But truly, this game is worth playing. Also, don't worry, the last thing I want to do is spoil this experience for you, so I'm only using the announcement trailer footage, as well I'm going to speak very broadly about my experiences in the game. I don't want to take that experience away from you. My only nitpick is that the best way to enjoy the game is by playing the other Xenoblade games first. There are certain perks of playing Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 that elevate the experience with playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3. It's like how people who haven't played Undertale ask you how to level up and what does it do in Deltarune. If I had to sum it up in one sentence, I would just have to say that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is without a doubt the most beautiful game I've ever played. This game has made me more emotional than any other game I've ever played, and that's being confidently said by someone who's pretty apathetic when playing video games. Xenoblade Chronicles 3's themes were masterfully done, with its high use of flutes, the use of story themes of life and death, and how people react to it, and the wonderfully written cast and its wonderful breathing world. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was everything I wanted out of a game, even just talking about the development of the game itself. The people behind the Xenoblade Chronicles series, Monolith Soft, finally got all the time and resources to make a game on their own terms, and having all the attention it deserves. We've come a long way from Project Rainfall. Monolith Soft conquered all the obstacles in the way after a number of Xenoblade games having some sort of issues keeping these games reaching their full potential but still coming out the oven as masterpieces. It's very clear that after Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and even after making JRPG masterpieces, they can still improve on it and make the visions that they have in their minds come true. The experience of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 will never leave me, making it my favorite game I played this year.
This ship's been gutted down to the core. Looks like a carcass of a beached whale. It's like diving into shark-infested waters with a big juicy steak.
It's like saying you didn't like Hollow Knight on Reddit. It's like subscribing to an OnlyFans for only a month. It's like saying you're bilingual on your resume since you took Chinese in high school. It's like complimenting a little girl's outfit as a middle-aged man in a neighborhood park. It's like saying an edgy meme to one of your parents. It's like talking about your feelings in group chat. Shit. It's like asking the viewers to subscribe when no one's watching.